Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Frozen with Outdoor Adventures, and today I have a subscriber requested video. So currently I needed something quick for this week because I'm going to be down in Damascus. By the time you see this, I am currently at Trail Days, probably having a great time, and I'll share that with you next week. But today's topic is reserving a primitive backpacking site at your local state park. Now, I know this can be kind of confusing because the website is, well, honestly, kind of confusing. So I'm here to take that confusion out and make this as simple as possible so you can enjoy your next trip without having to stress about something as simple as a camping reservation. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the DCNR website, the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Now, this website is just a landing page basically for the reservation site, which can be found right here, which takes you to Reserve America, which I'm assuming most states and state parks use this same website. So if you're not from Pennsylvania, stick with me. Your workflow is probably very similar, if not the same. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sign in. Or if you don't have an account yet, create an account because you're going to need that at the time of checkout. And if you don't sign in now, you run the risk of possibly losing all the work that you did to create your itinerary. So we're just going to sign in, and then we're going to hit back on reserve your spot, which takes you back to the original location. So you can actually just bookmark this page. This is the one that you want to just keep in a quick location, or again, you can just bookmark the DCNR website, I guess, as well. All right, so for this, let's just recreate a camping trip that I did a few weeks ago. I backpacked the 70-mile Laurel Highlands hiking trail, which is in south central-ish Pennsylvania in the Laurel Ridge State Park. So that's what we're going to do, Laurel Ridge State Park, and it kind of populates the fields below. Now, what I am interested in is, well, you think it would be camping, right? Camping and lodging. It's actually backpacking and river camping is what we're after. And I think that's where a lot of the confusion surrounding this website comes into play. So once we select backpacking and river camping, we're going to hit search. And you can see the top search is our Laurel Ridge State Park, which is what we're looking for. Now, the permit type, there's only one, at least for this park, and it's backpacking camping permit. Now, after you select that drop-down, you're presented with a whole bunch of other options. So if you click zone, this is all the campsites or shelter areas in this given location. If you go down, you can choose either a shelter, which there's plenty of shelters along the way. They're like wood style, they have chimneys, they're absolutely wonderful. And every once in a while I like to stay in one of these compared to a tent. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually go to a tent, shelter, tent, and do a 4-day, 3-night trip here. For now, you can just let that go, but you can kind of see all the shelter area options on this drop-down list in entrance. And you can ignore that as well. We want to choose our start date. Let's start on the 18th, Thursday, and then we can end on Sunday like I did. So this is for next weekend, or this coming weekend by the time you see this video. Group size is 1, and length of stay is going to be 1 because we're not staying in any campsite for any longer than 1 night. Now, let's choose where we're going to be, and this is where your planning, your pre-planning comes into play. So I know that I want to stay my first night about 18 point something miles in at Route 653, and I want to be in a tent. So we're just going to hit search. Now there's other ways to do this. This is my favorite way because I think it just makes everything simple for you. Now on this, there's a warning. It says you're pretty much guaranteed to die unless you're an experienced backpacker river camper, which we are. So we're going to click the button. And this is kind of the list or the map of the entire next couple weeks surrounding the tent sites at Route 653. So again, we're on Thursday, and we can see everything's available. So we have all 5 tent sites available. Now, if you want to take a sneak peek of how everything looks for your surrounding trip, just undo the entrance type and just leave it blank and hit search again. So for our time that we're going 18, 19, 20, and 21. And you can see there's a decent amount of people scheduled here on Friday. Now, luckily, we're going to be scheduled in this area on Thursday, but that's just kind of a sneak peek. I like to keep it simple. We know we're reserving a tent, and we can just hit search again. It takes us back to the same place we were at. All right, so for this one, just choose, whatever tent site. You're just going to make it orange and then simply add to itinerary at the bottom. And then a pop-up will come right down here letting you know that this is the date you chose, this is the type of entrance you chose, or camping, that you chose, and we can move on with our itinerary. Now, we don't need to change the date because the next couple weeks are already listed here, but what I would like to do is I'd like to change the zone, okay, because I don't want to stay at the same place more than one night. Now, the next night on Friday night, what I want to do is I want to stay at the Turnpike, and I want to stay in a shelter. So we're going to go to search, and we want to make sure we're lined up with Friday. Now here you can see that there are 3 people at shelter number 3, and there are also 3 people at shelter number 4. So we better get in on this reservation because this looks like a really popular site for Friday night. So let's just choose one, which I know is the closest shelter by the trail, and it's also the topmost shelter that is closest to the woodpile. Just FYI, little side tip there. All right, again, we're going to make sure it's orange, and we're going to add to itinerary. Now you can see we have May 18th and May 19th already reserved, 1 tent and 1 shelter. Now, the final night, I want to stay at Route 271, but I also want to stay in a tent, and I want to have a special guest. So in this case, in my previous video, if you'd like to watch that in the suggested videos, I stayed with my dad this night. So we're going to add a group size of 2 to this. And you can see that this is actually all reserved. This is going to be a pretty happening place for the tent sites. Wow, so we actually can't stay here that night, which is pretty crazy to me. So we're going to actually have to choose a shelter and see if we can have any room in the shelter for that night. So Saturday actually looks to be a really bad day for this particular zone. Now, I wasn't expecting this in the video, but hey guys, if you want to spend the night on the 20th, I would stay away from Route 271. Okay, so that's going to force us to push to the next shelter, which is like 8 miles away. So that's going to be a really long day for us. But let's set this back to tent, and we'll choose Decker Avenue, which is about, I think it's about, I don't know, 8 or 9 miles at the top of a hill before heading down. And we can see we're okay here. So unfortunately, we're going to have to push a little further than we expected, and our trip plans are going to kind of change, but we're wide open with our tents. And we can just take tent site number 1 and add to itinerary. Now you notice that we have the 18th, 19th, and 20th reserved, and on the last day we do have 2 people staying, so the group size is set at 2. All right, so you give this a final look, make sure you have everything that you wanted to do, all your itinerary is planned, and then you're just going to go click on book. This will take you to the kind of the information splash page where you can put your vehicle, Accord 2014. Here's my license plate, my fake license plate, and we're going northbound as our direction of travel. Now here I'll add Miss Wife and give them her phone number just in case something, God forbid, would ever happen to us, right? You can also insert alternate leader information if you want to, but I think that's just as well. All right, I'm not giving a donation because I know that this money is used as donations anyway, and you can read this very fine, tiny print if you'd like, and then continue shopping. All right, so this is kind of the checkout shopping cart, right? And we just want to make sure that all the information that we just entered is lined up on here. We have 1 night in the tent, 1 night in the shelter, and then 2 people staying at the last tent site on Decker Avenue. And then this is basically it. You'll go to checkout shopping cart, enter your credit card information, and then what's going to happen is the Park Service will email you receipt, which is a temporary registration really can't be used as a registration, but I like to keep that on hand anyway, just to show that, this is where I am staying. Now, a day or maybe a few days later, you will get your actual reservation via email, and you'll print that out, or what I do is I just leave it in my email, but I download the attachment, download it as an attachment and put it on my phone. That way I don't have an extra piece of paper and I'm, being green and all that cool stuff. And I can just, show somebody that I have this reserved in case there's any problems. Now, that's pretty much about it. You can see how I adjusted my plan because, the Saturday night is filled up to capacity. So what I may have wanted done in that case was move my trip a day before or a day ahead, depending on how I feel, because man, that Saturday is going to be a really, really long day if I keep with this itinerary. So you have to be able to adjust your plans. Now, this was actually a surprise to me. I've actually never seen a shelter site completely full, all tents, all shelters, never seen it completely full. But I know hiking is getting really, really popular these days, especially since the pandemic. I think people just kind of forgot that they could go outside until they were forced to stay inside. So if you have any questions about the whole permit process, go ahead and leave a message below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you on the trail. Have a great day, everybody.